And the Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take Game 1.
Everyone counted out the Indiana Fever. ESPN analysts dismissed them. Oddsmakers scoffed, and even the two-time champion Las Vegas Aces were bracing for a clean sweep. But on the night A'ja Wilson was named MVP, in front of the Aces' home crowd, the Fever flipped the script, stealing Game 1 and shocking the world. How did a team missing 6 key players turn the series around with just one win? And what did Caitlin Clark say to her teammates afterward that's got everyone talking? This wasn't just an upset, it was a statement. If you're fired up for the Fever, comment "fired up" and show how proud you are of the team. What happens when a team enters the playoffs missing 6 players, dismissed by every analyst, and staring down the two-time defending champions? You get the Indiana Fever's ultimate test of belief. A night that was meant to belong to someone else somehow became their moment.
Matchup, Aces Fever, Game 1. We're not deciding the whole series right now, just Game 1.
Should we do it together?
I think we should do it together.
Okay.
Because my spidey sense are telling me they might be the same. 3, 2, 1.
Aces.
They're not going to lose after she just won MVP.
Yeah, period.
There's no way.
I see
No way.
From the very start, this series was framed as a mismatch. ESPN panels called it short and predictable. Sportsbooks didn't ask if Las Vegas would win, but by how much. Even the pregame language told the story. Headlines spoke of survival, not victory. The Aces were expected to cruise straight into another finals. The subtext was clear. For Indiana, simply avoiding humiliation would already be considered a success.
Fever had no business winning a playoff series this year, had no business advancing to the semifinals for the first time in a decade, and yet here they are, eliminating the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without Sid Colson, without Erin McDonald, without Chloe Bibby. The hospital squad is on the bench, and yet the Indiana Fever are into the semifinals of the WNBA.
Then came the injury list. Caitlin Clark sidelined. Sophie Cunningham out. Sydney Colson, Chloe BBY, Ari McDonald, Dyrus Dantas, 6 names gone. The Fever didn't look like a playoff team. They looked like a roster held together by tape. At that point, it wasn't just about being underdogs anymore. Critics said they were
Of Stephanie White. She is working with a 9-woman rotation, and 5 of those players did not even touch the court the last time the Fever played the Dream during the regular season, and 3 of those players weren't even on the team. I cannot say it enough. The Indiana Fever should not be here. They continue to be here. They battle. They're resilient. It's wildly impressive. Caitlin Clark wore the black Air Force Ones again. They had one of those forces lifted in the air like a beacon of hope, and now they'll face the Aces.
Picture the scene in Las Vegas before tip-off. Championship banners hanging high. The crowd buzzing, ready for another celebration. At center court, the spotlight fell on A'ja Wilson as she received her MVP trophy, a moment meant to cement the story everyone expected. Vegas as the powerhouse. Indiana as the afterthought. The Fever players weren't just overlooked, they were invisible in their own semifinal debut.
She just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about that matchup?
That they haven't seen the releases yet. They caught us when we were at a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? We'll buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care of business.
And yet, sports have a way of flipping the script when expectations feel set in stone. History is full of underdog runs, teams written off before the first whistle, squads told they didn't belong on the same floor. You could feel those same parallels brewing here. This wasn't just the start of a playoff series. For Indiana, Game 1 was their chance to claim a seat at the table and prove they were here to fight. By the final buzzer, the entire narrative cracked. The spotlight on Wilson's MVP moment dimmed, because the Fever had stolen it. They walked out of Las Vegas with an 89-73 win, their first semifinal victory in nearly a decade, and left the basketball world stunned in disbelief. But the biggest shock didn't just come from the team as a whole. It came from one player who turned the night into her own personal.
Respect everyone, fear no one. Sounds in the chat. That's one. Big time. That's big time.
While all eyes were on Aya Wilson raising her MVP trophy, nobody expected Kelsey Mitchell to step in and flip the entire story. It was supposed to be Wilson's night, the defending champions taking care of business at home, the script already written before tip-off. But Mitchell refused to let Indiana be a footnote. She transformed the semifinal opener into her own masterpiece, and by the final buzzer, the conversation across the league had already changed.
Oh, parents, just what's your emotional state right now?
Normal, I think. It's practice, trying to prepare like anybody else would, like any other day. But keep the main thing. That's all you can do.
Kelsey Mitchell has always been respected as an elite scorer, but too often she's treated as an afterthought behind the bigger names of the WNBA. Heading into this series, all the talk was about whether Aya Wilson would continue her dominance, if Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray could overwhelm the Fever, or if Indiana could even keep up at all. Almost no one mentioned Mitchell as the player who could change the matchup. Yet, as she's done throughout much of her career, she delivered the perfect response, letting her game speak louder than every expectation placed around her.
Your younger self.
Yeah.
How would you explain to her to make sure that you give yourself grace and give you the flowers that you so willingly deserve?
Ooh, I think the best thing I could have done was, I had a list. I had a long list. I wrote down a list of all the times I could have quit being a pro, playing with the Indiana Fever. I wrote down all the people that wrote me off. I wrote it down on a list. I wrote down all the coaches that didn't want me around. I wrote down all the media outlet that didn't want to talk to me. I think that within itself is like, you got to tell your younger self not to give up on you. Because it's been a lot of times I could have given up when I know a lot of people that talk to me now weren't talking to me, and I know what it was like when they wasn't. So that part is big for me.
Mitchell didn't just score, she scored every way imaginable. Mid-range pull-ups when defenders fought through screens. Deep threes when the Aces gave her even a split second. Perfect at the line, 6 for 6. Inside, outside. Everywhere in between she looked untouchable. By the end, the box score told the story. 34 points on 12 for 23 shooting, 4 for 6 from beyond the arc, and flawless at the stripe. It wasn't just efficient, it was relentless.
Keeping the pivot foot alive and going strong side for Wilson.
Mitchell this time finds a lane to the basket. Inside to Turner. Nice look from Mitchell, which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple of bounces.
That 34-point eruption wasn't just a big game, it was history. No Fever player had scored over 30 in a playoff matchup since 2012. And no one in WNBA history had ever put up that many in their very first semifinal appearance. Mitchell's performance now sits beside legends like Lauren Jackson and Cynthia Cooper, but she didn't just join them, she surpassed them. Think about it. In her postseason debut at this stage, against the defending champions, on the night of an MVP celebration, she carved her name into the record books.
5-point advantage for Indy. Trying to go inside. Terrific defense by Mitchell to deny Lloyd. It's Mitchell, guarded by Evans. Screen from Turner. Kelsey Mitchell knocks down another shot.
No one is accountable for Hall.
Mitchell, come on.
Even from the sidelines, the weight of it was felt. Caitlin Clark, sidelined by injury, summed it up with just 2 words on social media. Kelsey, unreal. No long speech, No overthinking, just pure respect from the sophomore phenom to the veteran who carried the team when it mattered most. It was a moment that showed not only how much Mitchell means to this roster, but also how deeply her teammates recognize it.
Who's going to step up, and how can the Aces find an edge?
Another good cut to the basket, this time by Turner.
The Las Vegas Aces are running out of time because the Indiana Fever making passes with That's right.
Boston. Triple team kicks it out. Kelsey, Mitchell.
Even Aces head coach Becky Hammon, never one to hand out compliments, lightly admitted after the game that they had no answer for Mitchell. That acknowledgement only underscored how completely she took over every possession. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a fluke. It was Mitchell at her absolute best, proving she belongs in every conversation about the league's most dangerous guards.
You start on the defensive end. I mean, clearly we had no answer for Mitchell. Couldn't even attempt to slow her down a little bit. I thought it was really poor. Really poor.
The symbolism couldn't have been louder. On the very floor where Wilson was crowned league MVP, Mitchell was making her own claim. It was as if she were saying, "We've got a most valuable player, too, and she wears fever red, blue, and yellow." Yes, it was a career night. But her 34 points stood for something bigger: Indiana's defiance. Their refusal to play a supporting role in someone else's story. The Fever didn't just win because of Mitchell's outburst, they found their identity through it, and that identity didn't rest on one score. The true heartbeat of this upset came from across the roster. Defense, hustle, and depth combining to frustrate the champions from every angle. Everyone expected Las Vegas to dominate the paint, to bully Indiana inside with size, strength, and an MVP presence. Instead, the Fever turned defense and tempo into their greatest weapon, flipping the game in the one area almost nobody thought they could win. What unfolded wasn't just resistance. It looked like a blueprint for how to dismantle the defending champions.
Had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. Great start for Leah Boston.
Definitely the best slasher.
Boston and Wilson, two former South Carolina players. Asia can't find the bottom of the net.
5'11". Odyssey Sims and Kelsey Mitchell 5'8".
Boston up, under, and in.
Really having her battle.
Asia.
At the center of it all was Aaliyah Boston, tasked with one of the toughest assignments imaginable: guarding Aya Wilson. Fresh off her MVP announcement, Wilson thrives in the post, stretches defenders to the perimeter, and attacks with relentless force. Most players shrink under that matchup. Boston didn't. From the opening possession, she made a choice not to match Wilson shot for shot, but to disrupt her rhythm completely. Her mission was simple: make Wilson uncomfortable, push her off her sweet spots, contest every catch, force resets. If Boston could tilt that battle, Indiana could tilt the game.
Efforts in us. So that's got to change this second half.
Coach, you're shooting under 40 from the field, about 7.
Get about it.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Hammond. And let's go over now to Angel Gray. For Asia. Spins, counters, doesn't get the bounce.
I am just so impressed.
Oh, Boston just faked Wilson out of her.
Trouble juices efforts in us. That has to change in the second half. Coach Hammond said at halftime, her team's shooting under 40% from the field. Back to the action, Andrew brings it across. Boston spins, counters, doesn't get the finish, but wow, the effort. I'm just so impressed. Boston just fakes Wilson completely out of her shoes.
Lexi Hull had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. A great start for Leah Boston.
It worked. Wilson still finished with 16 points and 3 rebounds, numbers that might look solid on the surface. But the real story was her rhythm. Every bucket was a grind, every look contested, every possession dragged deep into the shot clock. Instead of dictating the game, Wilson was forced into uncomfortable shots that lacked her usual flow. That constant disruption slowed the Aces' offense, chipping away at the confidence of a team that normally thrives under her command. Boston didn't erase the MVP, but she did something just as valuable. She made her look human. And that alone was an achievement.
10 minutes. One shot. Rebound. Stay high. We're good. Good job, Kels. Okay, we keep playing great defense. Yeah. Stay on the ground. Yep. Switch.
2 minutes to go in the quarter. Hall left open for three, and she hits it. Much needed. Odyssey. Thought about it, but boy, her shooting's on point. So
beyond Boston, Indiana needed its wings to rise to the challenge. Lexi Hull drew Jackie Young, one of the toughest covers in the league. She shadowed her on every cut, fought through screens, and refused to bite on fakes. Young never found the space she usually relies on, and by the end, her impact was muted. Hull added even more by hitting clutch threes when Indiana needed them most, proving her value wasn't just in slowing someone else down, it was in sparking her own offense, too.